Hi, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Bill.
We are the Brent's Bling team, selling beaded and stainless steel chain jewelry, highlighting and fitness and women's competition pieces. I can even custom just for you. Check us out
at brentsbling.com.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. We are live here. I am Dave Palumbo, and of course, as always, for yet another year, I'm joined by Chris, the technician Aceto, who's, of course, having technical difficulties.
Dave, you took the words right out. I knew you were going to say that. I'm having technical issues with the computer.
Yeah.
It's so funny you nailed that. It's You know, I was going to tell you before the show started, I was going to text Patrick Moore today. Do you ever do this? Right. And I said, nah, I won't text him.
Then he called you?
An hour later, I said, you know what? I should really text him because, you know, I bet if I text him, he's going to say, I was just getting ready to text you. Of course, I texted him. He said, you got to be kidding me. Like, what, you know, just out of the blue. And he said, I was just going to text you. And I said, of course, that's the way it works.
That's fun. What's he up to? Is he competing this year?
Next, this coming year, I think. You know, I think
what did he tear? Did he tear a muscle?
Yeah, he tore something. I don't know. I'd have to go to Nick's Power and Strength to find out all the official news of what he tore.
I forgot. I reported it too on Muscle in the Morning. I completely forgot. Did he tear like a bicep or something like that?
No, he didn't tear a bicep or something. No.
Oh, it was like a bullshit tear, you mean?
Yeah, he has a bullshit tear.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember, honestly, but
I thought he was going to compete, and then I heard he had torn a muscle or something like that, or hurt himself, and then they pulled him out of the rotation. But I could be wrong.
I don't know. Do you have the ability? You don't have the ability, Dave. Just you saw that Instagram thing I sent you with Ramon and Chris Bumstead.
No, you said you sent me two things. All I got was the thing about Joe Rogan talking about the fact that all these people think that billionaires are super wealthy, but he was talking about how
you missed the greatest. You didn't go back and you can't see before that. Right before that, I sent you this. Some creative little genius made this clip of he morphed Ben Stiller's face into Ramon's. And then he did someone else's face to Chris Bumstead, and it's one of the most just funny things that I've seen all year, which means in the last 7 days.
I don't think I got it. I just got some weirdo doing cable crossovers, like with the Indian music playing in the background.
No, weird. I looked and it said it went to you, and I checked.
I got everything else. I was going to play the other crazy clip from the guy who went nuts on the in the stage.
No, this is much better than that. Let me resend it to you. I don't know if I can on my
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it
on my computer. Yes, I can.
Okay, do it on your computer. Chris is getting very technically savvy with Instagram lately. So, but did you hear Ron Jeremy died? Not died. Ron Jeremy is demented. Not that he didn't die. He died.
Demented. Yeah, he's going to join Wayne DeMillier, and I think he's going to be like Wayne would have Wayne was the first to have like Cirque du Soleil stuff. They're going to have Ron Jeremy.
Does anyone even know who Ron Jeremy is?
Everyone knows who he is.
Ron Jeremy was a porn star, not a gay porn star. He was a straight porn star, but he was always fat and disgusting. But he had a big penis, and they put him in porn movies, and he was always like cracking jokes, which I thought really sucked because when you're watching porn, you really don't want to be laughing. You know what I mean? It kind of takes the whole mood away from it. So I don't know how he was successful and everything like that. And I do know a female bodybuilder, may she rest in peace, no one with who gave Ron Jeremy a blowjob, but I don't want to reveal that.
Oh, who is it?
I can't tell you because
give me the initials, Dave. Give me the initials.
No, I'm not even going to say. I'll tell you off the air. But
give me the initials and what state she lives in.
Evidently, Ron Jeremy, when he started getting demented, started raping girls. Did you know that?
I saw that? Yeah, I saw that on TMZ.
I mean, the guy's had more sex than probably anyone in the world. He's probably had sex with more women, and he still can't get enough. What is he, like 79 years old?
Yeah,
like I think 69. Sorry, 69. But,
damn, I can't find that funny thing.
You know what the funny thing about Ron Jeremy? He was losing his hair when he was like in his 20s, and he never lost it all. He only lost the front part, Maybe
he went to like Bosley for men, but couldn't.
I don't think so. I don't know because he doesn't have a hairline. You could tell it's receded, but he still had hair in the back. I don't know how it's a weird thing, but yeah, they say that he's unfit to stand trial. 30 counts of sexual assault with accusations dating back to 1996. And victims ranging from age 15 to 51. Oh, so he was a rapist his whole life. What a retard. The guy was getting paid to have sex with women, and he was raping women on the side. What a lunatic.
People are loony,
There's a lot of crazy people out there, I guess if you have a sex addiction, though, it's like a drug addiction. You can't have enough of it, right? And it's probably not as enjoyable when he's banging girls on set because, it's so orchestrated, so to speak, which is probably why he cracked jokes. I don't know how he kept an erection while he was cracking all those jokes, though. But he must have.
Okay, Dave, I just sent you. I think it's the clip of the year.
All right.
See, now
you
should
Ron
be
Jeremy story.
No, you should be technically savvy enough to be able to take that, I hope, and post it. I don't even care if you post it on the show, just so you can see it and laugh.
No, I'm going to put it up right now. I'm very technically savvy, you know that.
Is that the greatest or what?
That's pretty good. I got to tell you, it's pretty good.
Look at the more you look at Ramona, it looks exactly like Ramona in the Bumstead one. It's exact.
I know. You know what the funny thing about Bumstead is, and he's such a nice guy, and he's a great representative of our industry. He's got an amazing physique. He loves that mustache. I can't stand the mustache. I don't, and it's fuck me, right? Who the fuck am I to tell him I don't like the mustache? I sound like my father. I don't know why he likes that mustache. To me, he's a handsome guy. He doesn't need that mustache. What do you think that is with the mustache?
No, maybe he grew it as they were growing it. A lot of people were doing like these 1970s mustaches when classics started to really grow. Right. They tried to live in the 70s.
Right.
You know what I mean? They'd go to the gym with short shorts. Remember the short shorts? That's what everyone wore.
Of course.
And old fashioned tank tops and stuff. And
right.
Some people grew mustaches. Some people looked like phonies, as your father would say,
right,
with them. And other people look really good on them.
I think he likes them.
I think it doesn't look good on him.
I don't like it. I don't think it looks good on him, to be honest.
I don't think it looks good on him either, but he's got such a good physique, he can pull it off.
Oh, it doesn't matter. The guy could freaking have a full woolly beard like Guy Sistanino, wouldn't matter. But I'm just saying, I just think he's a good-looking guy. Like, from a marketability standpoint, I think it would be better without the mustache. But like I said, it doesn't fucking matter what I think because I'm just some schnook from the fucking street, right?
No, Dave, it does matter because, let me say that. When his first Olympia, which he was second or third?
Second.
Dave was adamant that he should have won.
Oh,
you went nuts, and you got a lot of it. The crazy thing is, you got so much flack. You one called him the winner, and two said he can win this division forever. I'm like, even I remember. I said, "You really? You think so?" And he's like, "You could not believe that I couldn't see it." I'm like, "Really? You think he should have won?" And you're like, "He should have won, and he's going to win it forever."
Yeah, he had that larger-than-life look to him. And you know what? I was arguing. You know what? Chris Cormier, the whole reason why he thought Breon beat him? Because remember, Breon Ansley is the one who won. No. Danny Hester won, right? The first one?
No. Hester won the first year.
Yeah, you know what? Chris wasn't in the first year, I think, right? Wasn't he in the second year? He was second, but Breon beat him that second year. And Cormier's whole argument was that Breon has better biceps. I said, Chris, that's one body part.
Yeah.
I said, the guy is unbelievable. He's got this crazy structure. He's going to be so dominant. Yeah, I know he needs to put a couple more pounds of muscle on, but I couldn't see him losing. I just didn't,
Yeah.
But
that was it. Then he's on the streak 4.
Yeah. But I will say this. Mustache or not, the guy is super popular, and it has nothing. And this I think he's got an incredible physique. I still do. Still like the mustache, but like I said, doesn't really matter. All right, I have a lot of stories now to talk about because while you were having technical difficulties, I was pulling up stories. You remember back in we're going to talk about the Arnold lineup in a minute, but you remember back in the 70s, there was a show called 8 is Enough.
Oh yeah, of course.
Did you watch it? I'm sure you probably watched it, right?
I watched it here and there. I don't like sticky shows like that. I need a Yiddish word for like,
Well, we were kids then. We were like little kids.
I know, but I was grown up for a kid. I didn't like those little silly. I thought it was too unbelievable. I didn't like.
There was a kid, the youngest kid. It was 8 kids. It was not Dick Van Patten. It was something Van Patten. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was the father, and he had 8 kids, and his wife died, and then he got remarried because actually the wife he had in the show really did die, which was Travolta's wife. Travolta was like 28, married to a 40-year-old, and she got cancer and died. The woman, but she was the mother on the show, and then so. He had to remarry, but it was 8 kids, and the youngest kid's name was Nicholas. Adam Rich was the actor.
I got news, Dave. How many do you have? 3?
3 kids, yeah.
We're gonna have a show called 3 is Too Many.
Yeah, you have 4.
Yeah, 4 is a death wish.
Yeah. So Adam Rich was the same age as me, and he was on the show, and this is a true story. And I went. I loved his hair. He had that hairdo, like the bowl haircut. And I used to have the person who cut my hair trying to cut it like that.
Yeah.
And someone saw me. My mother and I were walking. Someone stopped my mother and said that your son should be an actor. He's got the look. I'm a child agent. I do child acting. He could be the next Adam Rich.
It wasn't just a molester, was it?
No, it was some woman. No. My mother was sharp as a tack. No one was taking advantage of my mother. So I think my mother knew this woman. I don't remember the whole story, but we were someplace and we ran into it, and she's like telling you, he's got the look and and they pumped me up. So she gave my mother this agency, and we went. And after school one day, she took me there. I think we had to go into Manhattan or something like that. I don't remember. We went someplace and they had me read some lines, and after the final evaluation, after they had me do whatever they had me do, was that he's got a great look. We like that look. That's the look we're looking for. He's got a great voice, but he's too tall. I was probably almost 5 feet at this point. Mm-hmm. I was hardly tall. I was not the tallest kid. I was in middle of the road. They wanted, for the little kid parts like Gary Coleman and Adam Rich, you had to be a midget. And I was so upset. My father's like, when I got home, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "When you get older, you're gonna be happy you're not short." But so I always loved that kid. It was like I said, he was the same age as me. He died, 54 years old, same age as me. The guy dropped dead.
Did he?
No known reason.
Was he vaccinated, Dave? Was he vaccinated?
We haven't got to that. I haven't got that far. But the poor kid. This is him. That was him as a kid. Yeah. Adam Rich. He passed away in his sleep, I think, at home. Sad. A lot of people are dying. You know who else died? And I didn't really know who this person was, but there's it was a new rising star in the MMA. This Asian girl, Victoria, the Prodigy Lee. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
She died, 18 years old.
Wow. What'd she die of?
That's really crazy. Yeah, it's getting scary, Chris. People are dropping. Young kid, 18 years old. This girl is. She's from Hawaii. She's supposed to be was the next big thing that was coming up. 18. Unbelievable, right? Yeah, no. We're seeing a lot of. Did you send me that whole list of? Yeah, you sent me that article.
270 athletes.
In this year alone, or is that what it was?
No, there were 270 vaccinated athletes.
Oh, that died over how much of 2-year period or something?
Yeah, in the last 18 months.
Wow, that's crazy, Chris. Don't you think?
Yeah.
It's not only crazy; it's scary.
Yeah.
270 young people. Young people. We're not talking about old farts. We're talking about young people have died from it.
It is nuts.
Who were otherwise healthy prior to this. We're not talking about people that were sick people that were dying.
Yeah.
I wonder what's scary about the whole thing is I don't know, a lot of people have been vaccinated. I would never allow my kids to be vaccinated at all at this point. And I wonder if it's one of these things that, hey, you got vaccinated and you're still at risk because you got vaccinated, or does it wear off at some point? Because I can't imagine that the messenger RNA will continue to express that spike protein forever, because if it did that, then you wouldn't need a booster shot. So unless they wanted to just give you a booster shot to make sure that you killed you, they killed you. But I think that it does wear down a little bit over time. So I think if you can get past that first year or so, I know you've been vaccinated. I wouldn't get shot. I wouldn't get another vaccination if I were you. You're crazy.
Yeah, I'm probably dying from that. Who knows?
Nah, you're not gonna die. You're doomed. You're like you and I
Dave,
are doomed to live.
4
a
is
long
too
time.
many. 4 is too many.
Yeah. Yep. You want more kids, don't you? Or are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. I gotta go on YouTube and be like consult with these people who say, you got to create another income stream. I need an income stream if I'm gonna have. I don't need an income stream. I need an income river when you have kids.
Yeah.
Did
you see this story? I'll pull up one more
one?
story. I told you I pulled up a lot of stories because you were taking a long time. I thought this was if I didn't know my father was dead, I would say this was my father. Some guy was pulling into a car wash. He was 77.
Oh, I did see that story. It's so funny. Yeah, what happened?
He hit the accelerator and he flipped the freaking car inside the car wash.
Dave, ask Dusty Henshaw.
What?
Ask Dusty Henshaw. I went into a car wash one day. I videoed it. I think I had him on the phone. And I was so busy, I didn't put it in neutral. And I'm like, why am I these effing dumb people at the car wash? Why am I catching up with the car in front of me? I had to slam on the brakes. And the people went nuts. So I was like, why are we going so fast? You know what I mean?
Right.
Dave, I'm thinking they must be really busy. They're trying to get you in and out here. So I have been there. I have done that.
At least you didn't hit the accelerator, Chris.
No,
at least it was just rolling on its own. It was
I was just flying through because I didn't put it neutral. Now the first thing I do when I pull into a car wash is make sure I put it in neutral.
The best thing when you first pull into a car wash is don't be on the phone. You can get on the phone once you're in the car wash, but don't. If you're too distracted, you'll scrape your rims on trying to get into that. You got to get into that little track. You ever see the guys trying to guide you?
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
What the fuck? I want to get out of the car and say, you fucking do it. How often do I have to drive onto a track that I can't see? You can't see the track. It's not like you're driving onto like a railroad track. You can see. You cannot see where the car's wheels have to go. And I don't want to scrape my rims. It's the stupidest thing of all time. But I do like car washes. I will say this: it's much easier than doing the car yourself.
Oh yeah, my father used to make me wash the car. I'm like, God, why can't we just go to a car wash?
Did the same thing.
Wash the car
I don't know about me.
morning.
I'll tell you something. All they do is put car washes up around here. They must have, since I've been here, they had to have put up at least 5 or 6 car washes, and they got a few more pegged. They got the sign right in front. It's coming soon. Dog Days Car Wash. They got like 4 million of these car washes around here. I guess they're very lucrative. That's the only thing. Maybe is it a cash? It's not really a cash business anymore, but.
Well, I mean, it's a good. I mean, it's like any other business. It's a hard to fail business because everyone always wants their car washed.
Right, especially in Florida because it's always nice weather too.
Yeah, and you can keep it beautiful all year long. Right. I mean, it works both ways. If you live in Maine and in the wintertime you want to clean it every day because
you got to get the salt off it. Yeah, from the salt of the roads. Yeah, it's true. Very true. All right. Well, we do have the Arnold Classic coming up, and what are we about 6 weeks out now?
Oh God, don't get me going.
I think we're 6 weeks out, and the list has been released. So let's go over it. A lot of people are very disappointed with the lineup, and I'm like, I'll tell you what my feelings are on this whole lineup.
Okay.
And I did a video on it, but I feel number one that the Arnold Classic is a huge show. Okay, it's right beneath the Olympia in terms of being something that's important, prize money, distinguished. It's a great title. It's got a lot of money. I mean, the money is important. You would think that the Arnold people and the Olympia people would coordinate a little better because you know what? the Olympia should not be that close to the Arnold. There should be a separation, because what happens is a lot of these guys are shot after the Olympia. And you know what? 8 weeks doesn't sound like a long time to go from the Olympia to the Arnold, but I got news for you. When you're in the best shape of your life, it ain't easy to hold on for another 8 weeks. 8 weeks feels like 80 weeks.
Yeah.
And there are some guys, of course, that have an easier time getting in shape than others, and those guys will be much more likely to do the show. Some guys might not have peaked for the Olympia, or maybe they still have some left in the tank because they didn't, I know like Bonac and Samson were not at their best. So obviously they have something to prove. So they're going to want to keep going. But, the guys that look their best, like guys like, because I was like, why isn't Nick Walker and Derek Lunsford in this lineup? It's 8 weeks. It's 120,000 or 130,000, whatever they give away. It's a lot of money. It's distinguished. You get Arnold.
200, kid. 200.
Oh, it's up to 200. Okay. Thank you for that correction. That's a lot of money, Chris. Even if you do pay taxes the way you should, because not everyone pays taxes, but even if you pay the taxes, it's still a lot of money. So
yeah,
is it a mistake that we don't see Nick Walker in this lineup? I mean, I don't. What do you think his thinking process is here?
I'll tell you what it is. It's a mistake on paper. But people who want to be Mr. Olympia and think they can be Mr. Olympia, and he's one of those.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And the Arnold is just, I won that already.
Right.
I'm in it to win it all.
Right.
That's his mindset. The Olympia, I can win it all. Money is not the driving force here. So I am going to take the time to work on myself, and so that I can come back next year and win the Olympia. That's exactly what that is. So on paper, it looks like it's a mistake, but to him, in his life, the guy who's living it, it's a strategy, and it's a strategy of a guy who wants it all. It's not a strategy of like, oh, I'll get 2 Arnolds, and then I'll come back and I'll definitely be in the first call out, and be in the running to win the Olympia. He don't want to be in the running to win the Olympia. He wants to win the Olympia. There's a big difference.
Yeah, but he's young. Even Jay won 3 Arnolds before he said, "You know what? I'm gonna just concentrate on the Olympia." I don't think for someone like Nick, who's that young, I think he could probably suck it up and win two more Arnolds before he really gives 100%. I don't think he would suffer that much. I think especially being as close as it is to the Olympia this year, I think that was a mistake to miss it. But once again, I'm not Nick Walker. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't feel good. Maybe he's just burnt out. Maybe he thinks he needs a break. Lunsford, I can understand skipping it, although it would be nice to win that title, because Derek needs to put some more muscle on. So he needs to take a break, and then he needs to have an off season, and then he needs to dive for the show. The Olympia being at the beginning of November, it's a short year. So I can understand Lunsford's reticence to do it, but I think that it was a missed opportunity for Nick Walker. Who else do you think should have done this show and didn't do it?
You could argue that it's a missed opportunity for the guy who got second in the Olympia by a point, because you would have to make an assumption that all he needs to do is show up and he'd win.
Right.
So, and then he'd win and he'd be like mega hyped, which he deserves the hype. He's already got the hype going into the Olympia. So that one, is to me a missed payday.
It's a missed payday is what it is. Yeah.
I mean, other people,
But you know what, Chris? Lunsford has a legitimate shot to win the Olympia next year. I mean, he could have beat Hottie this year. I mean, there was a 1-point decision at prejudging. I mean,
I know.
If he wins $400,000 next year, that will more than make up monetarily. Whereas a Nick Walker's, the chances of him winning next year, or this year, I should say, the Olympia, probably slim, unless a lot of guys come in off, because he's not going to beat Lunsford, because Lunsford's going to get better, and he's not going to beat Hottie again because he didn't beat him this year, assuming these guys come back around the same. So, and then you're going to have.
I disagree with that. I got news is, Nick is like the third place guy in that show when it's the call out is Hottie, Nick, and Lunsford. But he take Hottie out, which I thought was, the winner. And I picked, but if you take Hottie out of there and you put one-on-one Lunsford versus Nick, it's a much different contrast in physiques than just 3 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
with 3
yeah,
people,
but they seem to like Lunsford's physique, and
yeah, they
Lunsford's
do.
going to look.
They do.
Lunsford's going to get better. I don't think Nick can get.
That's my point, Dave. My point is, I like Lunsford's physique. I like the flow and shape. And with 3 people in a call out, you can deny Nick's size. But when there's only 2 people, you can side chest, side tricep, most muscular.
Yeah, but you know what? Hottie's not that much bigger than Hottie's smaller than Nick too. So I mean, I think
know, but Hottie's got the full pecs that Derek doesn't have. He's got the crazy striated pecs that Derek doesn't have. He's got the mature delts that Derek doesn't have, and that's what puts him ahead of Derek. You know, and he's got quads that, you know, Derek's got very good quads, but Hottie's quads are like, you know, lights out.
Right. I just think that if Derek puts on, you know, 7-8 pounds of muscle, which is absolutely doable at his age, he's still young.
Yeah.
He comes back. I think it looks much more impressive on his physique, even if Nick comes back. And I love Nick's physique. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big mass monster guy, but I think that Nick structurally is going to have trouble with Derek if Derek gets better. You know, he couldn't beat him this year. You know, I think Derek's 7 pounds compared to Nick's 7 pounds is going to make a bigger difference on Derek's physique than on Nick's physique.
No, I agree with that too.
And so that's why I think Nick's, you know, I understand Derek missing the Arnold. Maybe he, like I said, he really wants to make sure he puts on the necessary size, whereas Nick should collect the paycheck and go to the Olympia, and he'll still he never comes in out of shape. You know what I mean? He doesn't need a lot more muscle on his body. If he puts too much more on, he's going to ruin his physique. And so it's got to be done slowly, because if you put it on slowly, you can kind of pick where you want it. When you put it on too quickly, it goes everywhere, which is fine when you're first growing, you know. But he's at a point now where we don't want his waist thicker. You know, he doesn't want to get that any thicker, because he's going to lose, you know, the illusion of that very good V taper that he still has. And so I don't know.
What did I say, Dave? I think I said that last show when I was down in Tampa when I saw him. I said, disaster, he's going to be 3rd, meaning that's the lowest he's going to be.
Yeah, no, me too. I thought he had a chance to win the thing. And when I saw that Brandon was off and that Ramy was off, I thought he was going to win it initially. Yeah.
I mean, that was a prediction way back when I didn't know what Brandon and Ramy were going to or not going to look like, just by the fact that he looked so round and big back in July.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So all right, let's look at this lineup here. So who do we have? We have William Bonac, who's probably fuming mad over this Olympia. You know, maybe he's fuming mad at someone else for screwing him up, or maybe he's fuming mad at himself. Either way, he's fucking incensed. That's going to fucking fuel him through the next, 6 weeks into that show. So I'm sure he's going to be at his best. I can't even imagine being off at this point.
Yeah, I can't imagine him coming off. I don't think he's ever been 9th. You know what I mean? Maybe the first. He just haven't been that low even in years. So, I agree with you. He's going to have motivation. You know, he's going to be in redemption mode. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Pull out all those stops, and regardless, no matter what it takes, he's going to do what he needs to do to be at his best.
Sure. Samson, I was surprised was going to do this too, because I really felt that he needed to make some improvements, and I thought he would take the time. But you know what? Looking at the lineup now, and I know, and Charles Griffin dropped out, so that's one less guy in this lineup here. So I think we have down to 6 or 7 people, right?
Yeah.
7 people. So this is probably a good move for Samson, only because he wasn't like top 3. He's got a great physique. If he wins the Arnold or even comes in second, that really raises his stock quite a bit. And I think that that would be. I think it's a good move for him. Seeing the lineup now, if Derek had shown up and Nick Walker had shown up, maybe it wouldn't have been such a great idea for Samson. But in this lineup, I think it's a great move on his part, because I don't really see him doing any worse than 3rd or 4th. I mean, right? I mean,
he's got the most amount. He has the most amount to gain from doing the show.
Yeah,
because it puts a stamp of approval on his placing at the Olympia.
Sure.
And I got to think through who's there, but he's a contender to. He's technically on paper he's a contender to win. I think his vulnerability is his back shots. The back itself and that's his only weakness: back width, back thickness. But 100 giant sets, and it might come out. Who knows?
Look, I'm sure Milos is going to be working his magic
Oh,
over there.
I'm sure Milos is going to pull out all the stops.
So I'm glad he's in the show. I think he really added a level of excitement to the show that probably wouldn't have been there because he's the biggest guy, who's going to be on that stage. Now, I think the wild card that I don't know if a lot of people are considering here that who could really steal this show is Sean Clarita, because he redeems himself. He wins the 212 Olympia, and he says, you know what? I'm always in shape. I can do this. These guys are all complaining about getting in shape and doing another show. Fuck this. I'm going to jump into the open and see how I do. And Kamal is doing the same thing. I think it's a great move, and that's super exciting to me. Can you imagine if Clarita wins the Arnold Classic? What a fucking story that would be, right? Can he do it?
Well, he's got to stand next to Bonac, and they're the same height.
I understand that, but we know that Clarita will be sliced to the bone. We know that he's never out of shape. If Bonac is a little off, it's a possibility.
Well, Bonac's glutes are striated at like 270. So, the problem is that's the problem right there.
Well, here's a better question. Would he have beat him in the Olympia lineup this year, the way Bonac looked?
No.
You don't think so? So you don't think Sean Clarita would have placed top 10?
Would he be beating Bonac? You think he can beat Bonac?
I think he would have beat him at this past Olympia, yeah. If he would have done the open class, I think he would have beat him with his conditioning he brought.
On what pose would he beat him on?
I just think he's more conditioned. He's not bigger, but he's more conditioned.
Well, we'll see in 6 weeks.
How does he beat anyone? How did he win an open show and beat Sergio Oliva Jr.?
I don't know. He looked small. I was there.
Yeah, I know you were.
I thought he was very small there.
But he was peeled. And obviously they like his look. He's got good symmetry. He's got a tiny waist. He's got a lot of wow. And they don't seem to care about the fact that he's a little on the smaller side because he's another like David Henry, giant killer, It'll be interesting. You know what? What it's doing is for the Arnold Classic is it's making it exciting because we don't have the lineup we wanted. We wanted our top guys from the Olympia, right? We didn't expect to see Hadi there because he's Mr. Olympia, but we wanted Derek Lunsford. We wanted Nick Walker. We wanted Hunter Labrada. We didn't get that because the shows were too close together. But what we got now is something that could be more exciting because we got a Kamal Al-Gharni in the show. We got a Sean Clarita in the show, who are former 212 Olympia champs. Sean is the reigning champ, obviously now, 2 times. And that adds a level of excitement because we're like, whoa, what if they win? Or what if they beat some of these other top Olympia guys? Does that mean maybe they should do the open class at the Olympia this coming year? What do you think? What if, let's fantasize for a second here. What if Clarita wins the Arnold Classic? Bonac's off. Sampson doesn't get his back tight enough, and they give it to Sean. Would you recommend that he do the Open Olympia after that, or defend his 212 title?
Well, I think you do the Open because the bottom line is, Hadi and Bonac and Derek, those guys. That's first in the Olympia, second in the Olympia, second at the Arnold. Last year, won the Arnold the year before, Bonac, or 2 years ago. Yeah. Those guys are no longer 212, but they came from the 212, and they added at least 10 pounds of muscle on top of that. But when they were in 212s, people would say you got to gain. They would say this: never in a million years could you compete at the open level.
Right.
And people were wrong.
What's the one distinct? Let me see. I'm going to quiz you. See if you're a real technician. What's the one distinguishing factor that we noticed that the 212 is better at than the open guys?
Nailing their condition.
100%. And you know what? That's why they're so successful when they move up into that open class, because they bring the same level of conditioning. They know how to get in shape because they're forced to get in shape because they got to make weight. And when they go to the open, they don't make the mistake of coming in too big. They're bringing the same level of conditioning. And you know what? It's exploiting and showing what terrible conditions some of these other guys are in comparatively. I mean, not a guy like Nick Walker, of course, but I'm talking, or a guy like Hottie, but I'm talking about guys, and Hottie was a 212 guy, so that kind of still applies. I'm talking about guys like Brandon. I mean, Brandon should have been shredded, peeled to the bone. Bonac should have been peeled to the bone. I mean, Hunter Labrada should have been in shape. Ian Valier, self-destructed, So these guys, by all means, should never beat these other guys, but these guys are coming in shape. From Derek Lunsford to Hadi Chupin to Kamala Gargni, almost winning a pro show, probably should have won Tampa. And then, of course, you got Clarita winning a pro show in the Open last year and regaining his Olympia title. So, I mean, these 212 guys are taking these guys to school is what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're being rewarded for it. It's not like they're not being rewarded for it.
But we know conditioning win shows. Maybe this will open up the eyes of some of these Open guys that, hey, I better get in shape or I'm going to get beat by these guys that are coming up from the 212 division.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you took the top 10 and just took a quick visual of the Open Olympia versus top 10 of the 212,
right?
Collectively, the 212 has always been in, quote, better condition head to toe, the top 10 versus, let's say, the top 10 in the Open. I mean, I'm not going to get on the top 10 in the Open. I think they, are in good shape, but it just next level condition a lot of times comes from the lighter body weight, from the guys in the 212 or the guys who are forced.
100%. That's once again, that's going to make this show interesting, and I really believe it. Let me ask you this question: why do you think Justin Rodriguez is doing this show? I mean, this guy has been he competed a lot last year.
He is doing.
We thought he was going to shut it down and not do the Olympia. That was the original plan. Then we wind up seeing him at the Olympia. He does the Olympia, and now he's going to do the Arnold. Is he competing too much? I mean, I just haven't seen him look as good as he did since last year, the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, you can't compete too much because what we've said on the show over and over, your body gets tired and it doesn't respond to anything. It doesn't respond to the training. It doesn't respond to anabolics. It doesn't respond to dieting. When you get too tired, and mentally, from the head up, you can have your focus. You can still be the same person as you've always been. You can be the person who can still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and jump on cardio for 60 minutes and then do it at night and not complain about it. Sure. It's not at that point when you're tired, what's above, your neck. It's what's below. Your body gets tired. Mm-hmm. And I know people say, well, where your mind goes, no, it doesn't work that way. That's just an Instagram cliche. Where your mind goes, your body follows. No, not necessarily. There's a disconnect sometimes. Where your mind, you're mentally on your A game. You can be on your A game and you say like, gosh, why did I fizzle out that year? Well, you did 9 shows.
Your body does not like to be 0% body fat, okay? And when it gets there, it's called peaking. And you need to de-peak your body for a certain period of time. It happens in all sports. These guys peak for boxing for a fight. They crescendo up their training. Then they taper off the last week, and then they fight, and then they got to relax, let their bodies relax and regroup. That's the case with every running, same thing. During the running season, we're building up the whole season for the final races. And then that's it. You can't keep pushing your body. You crash and burn. And you know what? I made that mistake a lot of times because I was a fool.
Of course.
I was a fool. I never took time off from running.
Because you, like everyone, I mean, at the beginning, you're young in any sport. You think more is better.
Yep.
And then, because it is in a lot of things. When you study more, generally you get better grades. You know what I mean? When you clean your house more, your house gets cleaner.
Yeah, but I was always one. I don't know if you were one of these guys. I always was one of these guys that the night before a test, I would study, and then I would go to sleep like on the earlier side. I wouldn't stay up I had friends that would stay up all night studying. And then in the morning they'd get up early and they were studying. But I said, if you don't know the material, okay, by now, I would tell this kid, it was a roommate of mine, who's now a fertility specialist, by the way. I said, if you don't know the material by now, you're never going to know it. And I said, you're just fatiguing yourself and you're not going to be able to get through the test. And he would just pop tons of stimulants to get through the
Dave,
test.
I swear, in high school and college, I came home every single day and reviewed everything that was taught that day and the few previous days. When I got to college, I never studied for one exam ever, and I got like straight A's because I reviewed the material every day because I knew I would never put myself under that pressure, and I'd see people just like go nuts, like the last week before an exam, and I would just be like, okay, I'm going to the gym.
I never stopped the gym. The gym was my salvation. You have to do that. I used to have this. There was this kid who was in my med school class, and I won't say names. Not that anyone knows him, but just in case he watches the show. And he would train, and he would be on the bike, and he would be fucking high as he would be on so much cocaine. This guy, he'd be studying while he would pedal the bike at like 100. He was like going. He wasn't just like pedaling like he was going at 100 miles an hour, and he's like. I said, what are you doing? He's like, I got to study. I'm driving down to Virginia Beach. This is from New York. I'm like, that's a pretty long drive. He goes, I'll drive down. I'll be back Sunday night. I said, whatever his name was. I said, that's a long. He was like, woo. He was flying. He would get off the bike after he'd be studying like for 2 hours doing cardio. He'd get in his car, he'd drive to Virginia Beach, fucking party all weekend, come back Sunday night, Monday morning, he'd be back in class again. I don't know how he did it. Fucking guy was unbelievable. But and he got through it. He became a doctor.
That's what people do.
Yeah. And you know what? All these crazy people that I went to school with, they're all fucking doctors. That's the
yeah.
What do you think about it? Everyone had their own thing. This one kid was a complete neurotic. He was always convinced that he was failing and this and that. And it was like, this was the most being a doctor was the most important thing in his life. He had to become a doctor because he needed this, the status.
I knew you were going to say that.
Status. All about status. This guy, he's like, I need this. He even admitted it. He wasn't a liar. He's like, I need the status, Dave. He goes, I got to be a doctor. But I was always like counseling him. And I see he's a doctor. I see him on Facebook all the time. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Akeem Williams doing this show. I think this is a good move because we did not see a good Akeem Williams on that Olympia stage. So for him, I think it's a good move. What is Akeem doing wrong, do you think? Why is he not peaking? Why are we not seeing the physique that we saw come in 6th place at the Olympia a few years ago?
I just think it might be like body weight, a little bit too heavy. Use the scale. Might be like come in 5 pounds lighter, whether that be water or fat water, maybe 7 pounds lighter. When you're big, lighter can be better, we saw that with Ramy. He was 300 pounds. I mean, it was too heavy.
I think Akeem's problem still is his back. I don't know why he has so many problems with his back. He has a very shallow back double bicep. It's almost like a Ramy issue he's got going on there. Very high. He always had very high lats. He's got super wide lats, but he's got very high lats.
Yeah,
and I think that hurts him because from the front he's brutal. His front poses and his side poses are incredible. And it's got to be frustrating for him. And I don't know why he can't bring that back up. I just don't know why. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
maybe he needs giant sets of FST7, something.
He might need the insulin protocol with the giant sets out with Milos. He might have to try that. I mean, at this point, I think anything. I know he trained with Oscar for many years, working with his back, and it definitely brought it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of problems, and it could be the fact that his arms and shoulders are just so big they dominate everything he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard to take those. If you have a very dominant body part, it's hard to get it out of the movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People with good shoulders, they can't get any. They get flat pecs because they're just so dominant.
That's right. That's right. And it's almost like you have to retrain yourself how to work out. And it's hard, especially at his stage of the game at this point to relearn how to work out. I don't know if it's gonna get better. Now, the person I never thought that I would see in this lineup is Blessing Awodibu. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know he's doing it. I didn't know
he's doing it. He's in the line. He's in that. Yeah, he's in that.
It's a good move for him.
Why?
Because he
looked down in size tremendously.
He what?
He looked like he was down in size a lot. Like he lost mass on his legs.
Yeah, I think it's a great statement by you, Dave, because I think that he was not at his best, and when he's not at his best, meaning he's probably not quite lean enough and holding a little water, it blurs the separation and makes the legs look small. It's the Troy Alves effect. Troy Alves can buy off when he was winning shows, he could buy slim fit jeans. You know what I mean? Like jeans for like, what were the jeans that were popular? With the fancy pocket back in the
Jordache.
He could buy
Or
Jordache
jeans,
jeans
yeah.
from like Marshalls. But when he was in true good shape, his legs were ridiculous on the front shots because they were so deep.
Yeah.
And when he was not at his best, and he wasn't dieting down where he needs to be, this is Troy, or not dieted down and maybe holding a little water on top of that, his legs would look small.
Yeah.
The
reason I'm putting up this footage he has from the New York Pro, which he won very dominantly, where we were giving him all these compliments, was the reason why we gave him those compliments is because he brought a tremendous amount of conditioning in that we had never seen from him before. But, and you, I think, made this point, it was not the Olympia lineup he won. So, yeah, while we were impressed with what he brought and how he dominated that New York Pro lineup, he didn't really beat the guys that he was going to face at the Olympia there.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the problem.
Yeah. It's just a good move by him, because it's, you can't, you can't go from winning 2 shows in a row to doing the Olympia and not doing well. It's just too much on your psyche to like have to wait. You know what I mean? Wait.
But Chris, what if he does worse at this show? What if he comes in like, last place or something like that?
That's the risk you take. You know what I mean? There's risks that, what if, all the guys, what if Bonac is not at his best? What if, Kamal's not at his best? What if?
Right. But he's already got weaknesses. And it's people think this is a weak lineup. It's not a weak lineup. It's not the lineup that we wanted to see. And I think it's important to make that distinction. This is not the lineup we wanted to see. This is not a weak lineup. Samson, Bonac, Kamal, Justin Rodriguez, Sean Clarita. This is not a weak lineup. Akeem, this could be if everyone comes in shape, this could be a deadly lineup. So it's not going to be a walk in the park for anyone. But I think the guys who are going to be able to hold their conditioning from the Olympia and bring a look that is going to be, once again, I mentioned earlier, conditioning. Conditioning will be what wins this show. I promise you that. I promise you someone will win this show that we didn't expect because they're going to bring conditioning. And that's it. And that's why I think a Sean Clarita victory is not out of the question here. I think that he is the only guy who I know consistently brings ridiculous conditioning to the stage.
Yeah. But, no, you're right. He'll be in tremendous condition. It's at the end of the day, having said that, he will be in tremendous condition.
Yeah.
And he's, quote, big enough. You know what I mean? It's not like he's small. I said he's small, but he's not, you know what I mean? He's
short, but he's proportioned,
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Ben Stiller division. I mean, the Ramon Dino division, the classic. Here's the lineup for Classic. A good one. Obviously, Chris Bumstead is the only one missing from this lineup. Ramon Dino and Urs Kalasinski have to be considered the favorites, I would think, seeing that they were up there. Alex Cabernero is a former Arnold Classic champion. I know you love Courage Opara. He's got a great physique.
Yeah.
But I have to believe, Chris, this is going to be a 2-man show, don't you think?
Yeah, I would. On paper, it boils down to Ramon and Urs. They've been, I mean, it's Ramon. Urs beat him at the Olympia, and
you mean Ramon?
No, I mean the first Olympia.
Oh, okay.
It's hopefully, I hope, and I think that he could be Ramon at his best. But if you backtrack, Ramon is. This is Ramon's. This is a show Ramon has done in exactly 1 year. He did, or just a little bit more than a year. He did Spain. Then he qualified for the Olympia.
Right.
So that's 2 shows. Then right after, 3 months after that, he did the Muscle Fest or Muscle whatever, one of Tamer's shows in Brazil. That's right. 3. And then he came back and did the Arnold 4. And then he did the Olympia 5. And then This is the Arnold again 6.
Right.
So talk about,
And he's made improvements too.
He's made improvements because he's got a young body,
right.
when he's fresh. But it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of dieting and, training and remaking that weight, which is difficult for him to make.
Especially when he's the wrong height.
Yeah, he's the wrong height.
Has anyone made a statement about that, about how they're going to handle this at the Arnold?
No. It's catastrophe, potential catastrophe on the,
I thought you were running for athletes rep. Whatever happened to that?
I'll run for it if it pays. Just ask Jim if it
pays. Are you kidding me? Who's paying you? Who do you think is going to pay you?
I don't know. Maybe the promoters. Maybe
might charge you to be athletes rep. I know some people that would probably pay to be the athletes rep.
What about, does Chickarello get paid? No, you have to do something to get. Oh, sorry,
you have to do something
to get paid.
He's not the athletes rep. He's not the athletes rep. No one gets paid to do anything in our.
Who is the athletes rep? Who is the athletes?
We don't have one. There is none. There's a vacancy,
that's the
Chris.
That's the whole reason I should be it.
I know. Why don't you express put your official candidacy in? I will reach out to the powers that be and find out what the process is, and then they can put out a statement. And anyone who wants to run against you can run against you. But I don't think anyone will.
There'd be conflicts though. There'd be say you can't be the athletes rep when you help Ramon or blah blah.
What's the difference? Why not?
No, I know. There's always
if anything, you would, if you're helping athletes, you're going to be much more likely to want to help them to have the right, stuff happen to them,
Yeah.
Coaches are the best athletes reps because they have the interest of the athletes at heart, not the organization. You don't want Bob to be Bob Chickarello has the
he can be
organizations.
So he's 100% impartial, Dave.
Yeah.
Impartial.
You know what the truth is? I don't think he really wants to be the athlete's rep.
No, I don't think so either.
I think when he was competing, he liked it, but
nobody
now it doesn't really serve him.
Give it to Sean Ray so he doesn't have to retire for good.
Oh my God! I think you'd be a good athlete's rep. But you know what? The problem is that you would be tough because you tell me those stories about when you go to the board meetings at the condo board that you sit on in Miami there and you're screaming at people and getting in arguments with people.
I don't. You know me, Dave. I don't back down.
I know.
On any when it's a principled thing. What's that saying? I'll cut off my nose to just
spite your face. Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Just no.
I think you should do it.
It's built into DNA.
There should be an athlete's rep. There should be someone who can speak to the powers who run the organization as the voice of the athletes, because the athletes shouldn't have to do it themselves, because then it makes the one person that says something, then they feel like they're going to be persecuted for it. If everyone votes on something and says, hey, Chris, we don't want to be heighted in the day of the show. Can we get a height card at the beginning of the year? And you put that idea forward and say, look, these athletes have to, we got to have a height in.
Okay, Dave, you're like if I'm putting it forward, people say like Chris put it forward, they'll say, yeah, Dave gave it to Chris on that show.
Well, I'm going to be your lieutenant. That's all. I don't want to run for anything, but I'll help you out. I'll be like your assistant in case like you're out of commission one day and I can, I'll be like the lieutenant governor, So you could pick. I'll be part of your cabinet because once you get elected, you can pick a cabinet, right?
Yeah. No, I'll be the athletes rep in Wayne's Pro League. Wayne's World. I'm gonna call Wayne's Pro League Wayne's World.
We haven't heard anything from the Washington Post. Has been very quiet. It didn't seem any of those articles.
The atomic bomb of articles is coming out. Believe me, I know it all.
You think that's what it means?
Of course. We'll see. Of course.
It's the calm before the storm, in other words.
Yeah, that's it. You know what you say, like in a war, you say like, geez, I haven't seen any planes buzzing by. They've decided we're not going to just, we're just going to drop a nuclear bomb on you. That's their next.
Here's the question, though: is the Washington Post going to drop the next bomb first, or are they going to take away cash currency from us first? What's going first?
Who's going to take away cash currency?
That's the rumor I hear. I hear at the end of the month, there's no more cash. They're going to go to all digital currency.
No. There'll always be cash.
I don't know.
No, mark my words. There'll always be cash. Mark my words. At least for this year, next year, the year after, there'll always be cash.
Remember those words, Chris, when I remind you that I was right. But
no, listen. Visa and MasterCard are my biggest stock holdings.
You're smart.
Well, you know what? Because of that, I realized years ago that we're going. Everyone's taking credit cards. No one deals with cash.
Nope.
And I will brag and say those have been far better investments than Bitcoin. So when people want to play digital, there's a way better way to play it than shitcoin.
Yeah, well, you were playing, you were doing all that Bitcoin stuff.
I was
you
doing
crazy.
Bitcoin was like 300, and I thought I was a genius to sell it at like 2,000, whatever it was, Dave.
Yeah.
And then I watched it go to like 6,000. When you do this, when it went to, I did this.
It's
One
a
day,
stock.
when it was at 70,000, I said
Yeah.
the $200 one, the ones that I bought for $200.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dave! It was like some astronomical amount of money that I made like 10 grand.
Oh, that's good.
Like 200 to whatever it was.
Yeah.
To 2,000, but I would have made had I held it up to 70.
Yeah, but if you would have held it more, and then it'll drop down to zero again. This is what they're doing. They want a digital currency, Chris, and they're letting everyone do this Bitcoin bullshit to test how it works, so that the government can see what works and doesn't work about it. Then they'll bankrupt the Bitcoins, and then they'll put their own digital currency on. That'll be the end of it. Yeah, I guarantee it. It's like Blackman. We don't need to be first. We just have to be better. That's the government. Let's let them work out all the kinks on it, and once they work all the kinks out, we'll just take it over. That's exactly what they're doing. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
We're still gonna, you know what? Whether you pay tax in dollars or digital currency, you're still gonna have to pay your 941s, Dave.
Yep. Now let me ask you this question. Arnold thinks that the classic physique should be the Mr. Olympia. He thinks that there should be one division that should be classic, and there doesn't even need to be two divisions. Do you see them showcasing the classic division more than the open at the Arnold, or will they still make the open the premier event?
When did he say that?
Just recently, he made a comment about it, about how he felt that the classic physique was. He didn't understand why there was a classic physique division. That should just be bodybuilding. He thought, that was.
No, they'll feature the open,
Okay.
but this is what I can say about classic, and when it first started, people used to laugh at me in this show. I used to say, this is going to take over, and I knew that because of the appeal. Not necessarily the appeal to the fans who would laugh, but the appeal to the end user. Like, people would be like, first Olympia, Danny Hester won, and Arash was second, and
Right.
And who's the guy who I like, who won the Arnold last year?
Rough Diesel.
Rough Diesel was in that show. There were a lot of good physiques in that show, and I think, like, if you're like my son and his friends. And there's 17 and 16 and 18-year-old kids, and they're watching the Olympia. They love to see, like, the Nick Walkers or the Randys, but in their minds, the classic is something that has greater appeal to them, and it looks. I don't even know if it's about attainability. It just has more visual appeal to them, and those are the feeders into the division, and that's why you see 65. I mean, people were like, God, 30 guys, 35 guys in the men's open Olympia. Well, you had 65 in the classic Olympia.
Let me throw a controversial idea at you. What would happen if they said to themselves, you know what, this classic is really popular, but it's lacking one thing.
I know what you're going to say. Money.
Money, but the freakiness. How can we make it more appealing where it might actually displace men's open bodybuilding, just like what women's physique did to women's bodybuilding? The only reason why women's bodybuilding is here, let's face it, let's call a spade a spade. The only reason it's here is because Jake Wood. Yeah. Jake Wood didn't put oodles of money out of his own bank account into women's bodybuilding. It would be gone. It was gone. There was no Miss Olympia. There was no Arnold. It was gone. It was gone.
It'd be like Elon Musk bringing back the DeLorean.
Right. Okay. Having said that, what would happen if they said, you know what, we can make this classic physique blow up even crazier. We're going to raise the weight limit on all the divisions by 10 pounds. Everyone can weigh 10 pounds more now. What happens?
Here, Dave. Here's what happens. Let me just say this about Classic.
Only 10 pounds. I'm not doing 20 pounds. I'm doing 10 pounds.
Hold on, Dave. It's not the Instagram Olympia. It's not the Instagram. It's not the Instagram Olympia. But Chris Bumstead is the most popular person in the sport.
Right.
Ramon's only been in the sport a year, and he's got 2 million followers.
Crazy. Insane.
So that's like 1 and 2 in the world. So that says something about something. You got to read the tea leaves sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I thought of the weight today. I posted a picture of it. It's something to think heavy about. I posted a picture. Listen, Jim Mannion did a good job in, I don't know how he guessed who came up and sat at a table and said, like, you know, I don't think someone more than 6 feet can weigh this amount.
Well, they did it based on the European system that they had. They had classic bodybuilding. So they took that, but they did progressively over the years. They raised the weight in the amateur and the pro. The pro went up the last time. So what's to stop them from raising it 10 pounds?
Well,
what happens to the physiques?
Dave, I posted a picture today because Patrick Moore had sent it to me of Henry Pierre, who was 4th and probably should have been 2nd the year he was 4th in the Classic Olympics.
I remember. You helped.
Phenomenal. He's at the weight limit. 10 pounds more, no one would beat him, including Chris. Including Chris. No one would beat him, in my opinion. Right. If you look at pictures that year, it was very close between him and Chris. And he ends up 4th. Probably because name recognition. No one knew who he was. Having said that, someone like his physique, 10 pounds up, enhances the classic look. I think Chris Bumstead, 10 pounds up, probably the look is enhanced. Some people 10 pounds up, it's not the right look.
That's Henry.
So, what happens is, my point is this. People like Henry.
It's still classic, though, Chris. They're going to judge it as classic. So if you put on 10 pounds and you really shouldn't put on 10 pounds,
they kick you out.
Well, no, you didn't get kicked out. You made the weight, but you're just not going to do well. That's all.
Yeah. It's they kick you out, meaning you don't place high.
Right. Then you're done. Then you can go up to the open. If you move out of the class because you ruin your lines by putting on too much muscle, it's on you. Women's physique does not have a weight limit on it. I think it should, but it doesn't. And the girls' physiques are really nice in there. So, I mean, if they raise the limit on classic, would it displace bodybuilding? Because now the guys can be at a level that's Olympia worthy in the open division. They might even be able to cross over. They would be big enough to do that. Yet they would have their own division. That might be that might displace everything,
Yeah. No, I mean, I disagree with Arnold. I like that there's 2 divisions. I understand, the purists from his era, that he wants listen, he wanted Cedric to win every year, but there's nothing wrong with Hardy's lines. There's nothing wrong at all with Derek's lines. There's nothing wrong with Brandon's lines. Those guys, they're not pure classic plays, but they got good lines in all the shots. They don't have guts hanging out. They don't have. Right. Nick Walker's a mass monster, but his guts not hanging out. No. It's not like, I understand Arnold. Had a bird a few years ago with people were showing up with guts, and he was like, God, we got to mark down the guts, because there was a period of 2 to 3 years where just maybe it was 6 or 7 years ago where just people had guts. And you don't see that anymore. You don't see it at the top 2 in the Olympia, that's for sure. Top 3, 4, 5. The whole line, the whole top 6, no one has a gut.
Well, because people know that's going to get marked down, so then they're conscious of it. They work on it. They control it. That kind of thing. Yeah. People have there are a lot of guys with a lot of muscle out there. They could have guts, but they don't, because they control it. And so that was an imperative they put down. We're going to mark down for that. Okay, guess what? We're going to make sure we don't have that on stage.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is, if you raise the weight class and you say, hey, we're still judging for classic, you can weigh more, but that doesn't mean you're going to do better.
Okay, just what is the benefit?
I think we would see off the chart physiques. I think we would see, because I think there's a lot of guys that would be great classic physique guys that just can't fit into the division. Think Tony Freeman, you know, he would have been a great classic guy, you know, but he would have been too big to fit into the division. He couldn't have made the weight the way it is now. With 10 pounds more, he would have made the weight at his height.
No, I understand. I mean, it's just there's a happy medium, and I mean, right now with
that's the only way the division can evolve. It can't get any bigger. I mean, it can't evolve or change if you don't raise the weight class.
Well, it's evolving in this way. If you look at the top 10 at the Classic Olympia now versus the first year they had the top 10.
Yeah.
This top 10 would destroy the top 10.
But you know what we're seeing, Chris? We're seeing the tall guys dominate now because they can hold more weight because it's proportionate. So a 6'2" guy who weighs 265 on stage is monstrously bigger than the rough diesel who, you know, was dominating a couple years ago, who can only weigh 100 and whatever he weighs, 180 pounds on stage or something. You know, there's no way he could beat 260. He just can't do it. You know, doesn't matter how pretty his physique is. It's very hard when he's competing against guys that are monsters on stage, structure-wise and height-wise, like Ramon and Urs and Chris.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good point. I just, you know, I'd say just take it, you know, call a spade a spade. You know, Arnold is not too high on open bodybuilding, I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I think you know what the problem is. If another Cedric comes along, if a guy like Samson Dowda comes along and learns how to get himself in shape, brings up his back a little bit, Arnold will be all over that. You know, Arnold will be telling everyone how he thinks Samson should win the show. Guaranteed. That's his physique. He likes that look.
Yeah.
You know, tall, small waist, good taper, taper, line.
Taper.
That's why I love Cedric's physique. But so, like I said, before we wrap up the show, people think this lineup is weak. It's not weak. It's a smaller lineup. It's not the guys we wanted to see necessarily, but I think we have a really good lineup. And I think it's exciting because I don't think anyone knows who's going to win. Yeah, on paper, Bonac should take home this win, but he could have won the Olympia too, and he didn't. So, you know, nothing's guaranteed, as we found out.
No, you know, nothing is guaranteed. I wouldn't, you know, I don't rule out anyone. I mean, it's just nothing is guaranteed. Period. I mean, just because
Bonac came from the 212 too. We forgot. I don't know if you mentioned that, but we forgot about that.
Of course, I mentioned it.
Okay.
I mentioned it on the wrap up. The second we started the wrap up because I was pissed they gave the 212 like 2.5 minutes at the Olympia on stage and like the wellness and the bikini and everything else like hours and hours and hours. And I said the entire lineup, Bonac, Lunsford and Hardy, they came from the 212s. The feeder class for the success of the Open. You gave 2.5 minutes. You know,
crazy. Really is. It's a shame we never got to see Flex Lewis on stage with these guys. How would he have done?
He'd be in the mix. He'd be in the mix. Look at I don't know if you can post that video. I posted a 2015 Jose versus Flex, and you know, they were easily capable of winning open shows in 2015, easily. And I used to say that, and people would be like, "No, they're only 212." I'm like, "Oh gosh, you know, Clarita can win it." You know, we're talking about Clarita being a front runner for the, you know, at 180. Yeah. So it's just, you know, weight is.
I think Flex Lewis would have been a top 5 guy easily at this past Olympia. You know, if he would have brought it, it would have. I think it would have added another level of excitement.
Well, the thing is, you know, people will look at like a 212 Flex, and when you have good shape, a 216. There's a huge difference between 212 and 216 when you're in shape, and there's a remarkable difference between 222 and 212.
What did Kamal weigh? What does Kamal weigh in the open class? 220?
Yeah, Kamal I wouldn't be surprised Kamal's day of the show weighs in at 220, which is 8 pounds up. I mean, it was 215 at Tampa.
Yeah.
219 at Tampa, he was peeled. You know, you bring it down, you don't get better, you get like worse. You know, you don't have the pop.
I gotta give him credit. This guy is the most incredible guy I've ever seen. Is he 50? When is he going to turn 52 this year?
In the spring, I believe.
It's mind-boggling that he's still going as good as he is, and he's not slowing down. You think he would go down and I'm going to do a couple. He's competing more now than he did when he was younger.
Don't be surprised if he shows up and they move him close to the middle. I'm telling you, because it just.
If Clarita's in the mix, Kamal will be in the mix. I got news for you.
Well, Kamal will be. There's no way Kamal will be 212, and the weight that he'll be like in Tampa. He'll be conditioned, whatever the weight he lands at. 218, 219, 220, 221, as high as 222. He'll be between 218 and 222.
Right.
And he'll have better condition that he's, ever had. I'm sure of it. So it's apples and oranges. It's a show of apples and oranges. You got short guys like, Bonac and Kamal's short and Clarita's short. Then you got monsters like, they're big structures like Akeem and Samson. Yep. It's just, it's a big contrast between the physiques.
I'm excited for the show, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see who winds up in that top 5 group there. So, although there's only about 6 guys in the whole show, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So, hopefully, people got a nice little preview of what's coming up in a few weeks. And I know they're starting to publicize the live stream all over the place. So I'm sure they always do a pretty good job with the live stream over there.
I will make a prediction.
What?
That they have the prime time lighting because of all the complaints at the Olympia.
Yeah.
And people will go like, this lineup destroys the Olympia lineup.
Oh, because of the lighting? Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to have great lighting. You watch.
Well, Brian Power is the guy who's running the show over there for Arnold. He comes from Comic-Con. He knows that, you have to please, the people who come into the venue. People want to see a show, but they also want to see, they want it displayed properly. I think they're going to get the lighting right. I really do.
I mean, you know what? It's like the guy coming from a CEO coming from like, Apple to like Sunbeam or something. They're 2 different companies. I mean, just because he ran something at Comic-Con means jack, dude.
Yeah, but you know what? He knows how to put on a presentation. Comic-Con is a huge, huge event.
You know what?
He made some bad decisions with with how he handled the whole figure thing and canceling that division and a couple of things that went on like that. But I think the presentation of the show is going to be amazing. I really do. I hope. I said right off the bat, he should have been in the background. He should have stayed in the background. That's his forte.
I hope he listens to the show or listens to the wrap up at the Olympia or knows somebody who listens to the show. The show is the athletes, and these people want a production because, as I said, if you go to a lighting company or you go to a production company, they want to put on some bullshit production so that they can put it on their LinkedIn and say, look what we did, and we had this for lighting and that for lighting. If you light the athletes for a bodybuilding show, the audience will love it. The audience hated the Olympia. They hated it because you had to like squint to see like what's going on. And then the strobe light, loud. And
also, Chris, 99% of the people who are watching the Arnold are not in the theater. They're at home and live stream. So we want to be able to see it. We don't want all these lights in the background.
We talked about the Olympia. They were in bed, actually. It was 3 a.m.
I will say one thing. The Arnold Classic lineups are so small that the show's going to run very smooly and very quickly, which is going to be great. I think people will appreciate it a lot more that way.
Well, with 6 guys, you're just going to have 1 call-up. Well, maybe not. Maybe one. Maybe not.
Maybe 2 call-ups.
I shouldn't jinx it.
No, don't. All right. We got to wrap this up. Thanks for joining us live as always. And let us know in the comments below who you guys think is going to win the Arnold Classic 2023. For now, as we say every week here with Heavy Muscle Radio.
Truth hurts.
Sure does.